Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We're back.
Welcome back. Let's make sure that we're live because we're coming to you from
Tampa,
Tampa,
Florida.
Florida, and we are so happy to be here with you. One of the things, let me just make sure this is actually
Yeah, it's been a
connected.
minute. We haven't recorded a podcast since, I believe, July. We took a break off in the summer.
Yeah,
We were traveling, and then when we got back to Tampa in September, we're still in progress of creating a new studio that we're going to be recording in. And we just took a break too. We just felt like we needed a break. We've been recording for 5 years,
yeah, I can't
mostly
believe
every
it's
week.
been five
We've
years.
missed some weeks, but yeah, it's been 5 years already.
Yeah, and we were like, you know what? We could bring this recording, all of the recording stuff when we're traveling, but we were talking about it and we thought, you know what? We want to be in the moment. We don't want to be recording. We want to enjoy. So we actually took a trip to England. We went to Paris. We went to Switzerland. And it was a magical, magical experience. And there's so many pieces of that trip that we've kind of sprinkled in, sharing with students and mastermind members, and it actually leads perfectly into today's episode because it's all about really balancing being a medium, the mediumship side of things, and the human side. And this is so key when it comes to the work that we do because it's really easy to get wrapped up in that, that facade of I am the medium and that's all I am, because that just doesn't exist, right?
It doesn't. And another thing is too, we've seen so many mediums
Yeah,
stop and go and stop and go,
definitely.
all because of the human side of themselves. Let's get right into it. One of them is not feeling like enough,
Yeah,
right?
that's a common theme.
Whether it's not feeling like enough, right? The human side that we all feel. Even the people on the stage, even people that you think would never feel this way, if they're a human, they feel like they're not enough at times.
And it comes with every little piece of that human side because you can be a medium and you can be a coach, you can be a teacher, even being in the public school systems like us. There are moments where you could get the award, you could, you know, receive a nice compliment from a student or the principal, but in the back of your mind, you always have that nagging feeling thinking, am I enough? Am I on the right level? Should I be progressing more? And you can really get stuck in that mode of negative self-talk, and you could stay there, right, if you allow it to happen.
Yes, because the thing is like Lindsay said, you could win the awards, you could create all this impact for your clients, you can do all these great things, and what happens sometimes that we noticed is that I'm not enough feeling starts to get more intense
And it gets
and
in the
more
way.
intense and more intense. So we would think that, oh, once I accomplish this, this, and this, I don't have to deal with the I'm not enough feeling. No, you're always going to be human. That's the reason why I'm always going to be human. That's why we're making this show.
Yeah.
Lindsay is. And once you learn that about yourself and you accept it, you're not going to let it stop you from taking action. You're going to feel it at times, but you're not going to let it stop you.
Well, that's it. We've been having a lot of conversations with our students. We've been working really deeply with our 5-month mentorship students with Unlock Your Inner Medium. One of the changes that we made, just as a side note, some of my former students don't know this. We Tony has always been my mindset coach in the background. In the background when I was a medium, like he was my coach. He wasn't trying to be the coach. He just ended up being the coach because he saw what I was suffering through when it came to putting myself out there online. He saw the intense training that I was doing, the business skills that I was immersing myself in, and because we're both teachers, the teacher side of us comes out and we can help each other. And he was my coach, and he was always working with our mastermind members because we do the 90-day mastermind together. But we decided, why not, along with the mediumship membership, that he's the mindset coach, let's put him in Unlock Your Inner Medium. We decided that it has been a game changer to have people have a coach specifically for mindset while they're learning the skills. This is a piece that needs to be um, really honed in on when you're doing any kind of skill. Just like when you're an athlete, you have the professional athletes out there. They have the trainers that are the coaches that are gonna train them on the plays, but they also have someone in their head. Like think about even Tony Robbins, him working with McGregor, right?
Yeah.
He had to go in and talk with him. They didn't share exactly behind the scenes what he said to him, but there was a mindset shift that took place because of getting in his head and getting him to think a different way.
Right, and a lot of people think Conor McGregor, he doesn't need a coach. He's already successful. I mean, some people would see right away he needs a coach. The people that you don't think need a coach, they hire coaches. All the top athletes, all the top performers, like if you just notice these patterns, just pay attention to patterns. All the top entrepreneurs, what's the common theme? They surround themselves with coaches and mentors.
Right.
Like Lindsay said, I became the coach in all these psychic medium programs that we have, or mediumship programs. And what I noticed through working with hundreds of psychic mediums and mediums at the deepest level is a lot of times I'm on Zoom or I'm in person and I'm like, I'm talking to Lindsay from 8 years ago. I'm talking to Lindsay from 5 years ago, because we're all human. All of these patterns exist. We all feel like we're not enough at times. And another thing that comes up too, we all think, what are they going to think about me? Especially when you're first starting out in mediumship, in a new business, it really takes a hold of you at times. And then throughout, it does too, right? All of these things, they don't really go away. Some of them might. They just get more quiet, and you become more powerful, and you become more clear that it's okay to feel all of these and still continue to take action. It doesn't mean that you're on the wrong track.
Well, and that's the difference. That's what we've been talking about with these members and students, that the mediums that are going through these struggles and the celebrations too, is there's a difference between the mediums that are still sticking with mediumship after all these years versus the ones that have started and then stopped. And it's because they feel the fear and they do it anyway. That's the difference.
I love that book too. Read that book.
Yeah, they truly feel the fear and do it anyway. There's no difference between someone that's successful in mediumship or successful in energy healing or coaching rather than someone that's not. It's that through those tough times, they're going to continue to keep moving. That's a big thing.
That's a huge thing. It's owning that, right? It's owning every part of ourselves and being okay with it and accepting it. And a lot of this sounds so simple, but we're talking about it for a reason, because we see these patterns come up over and over and over again. And I know that as you're listening to this, it's triggering some of you. It's resonating with some of you, because we know that you're feeling this too. It can't just be all the people we've been working with over the last many years.
And I think that it kind of reminds me of like this dual personality that can come into play. Because like as a teacher, for me personally, I felt it. I felt like there was the college Lindsay and then there was the teacher Lindsay. And I had to figure out, going from graduating college, party, going to clubs and bars, that's the reality of it, being social, being with friends, enjoying myself, and also having the side where I have a purity to me too. Like that's just always been in me, I feel. And then going to teacher mode, where I wear, the teacher clothes. I act like the teacher when I'm teaching my third graders. I have to be a certain way when I'm in front of parents. So of course, like that inner piece of you, your soul is always going to come out, but you always felt, or I always felt like I had to be proper teacher. And then when I became a medium, I'm like, yay, I feel free. I don't have to be that proper teacher. So I actually feel like it helped me in my mediumship, because I realized that I didn't know how much I was like holding back as the third grade teacher, Lindsay, even when I wasn't teaching, until I actually did my mediumship. And I started to speak up more. I started to really pay attention to what I wanted. And I can actually give an example of the other night. Remember the Halloween party that I just did? Mm-hmm. I was asked to do a private event at a really nice restaurant in Tampa, and I was very hesitant to say yes to it. And this is the human side. This is the example of human versus mediumship side, because I knew that I would enjoy it because I love the place, a very nice place in Tampa. But I also knew, that feeling of what people think mediums are in a public way, if they're not truly familiar what psychic mediums do. And because it was on Halloween night, I didn't want people to take it in a way that this is just entertainment. This is nothing. This is just another fun thing. It's a magician show, or that kind of thing. So I was hesitant, and I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I can say exactly what I want. And I remember I was talking to you about it. I can say exactly what I want, and I could get very clear on this, and I could teach people the new way, the way that mediumship should be, the respectful way. And I did that. I asked for what I wanted. I said what I wanted. There were little tweaks to it that got me a little bit more clear, and I'm going to go into our mediumship membership group to talk about this. When you come into a situation where it doesn't feel fully aligned with how you want to do things, but also being okay with speaking up and saying it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it goes to the point where it's like we think we need to, like, people want to put everybody in a box. Like,
right.
Oh, they're this or they're that. And we all think that we can't be, like, multifaceted. We think we have to be just
right.
this one thing. Oh, I've always been quiet, so I'm going to be quiet. Always been this. It reminds me of Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. It goes without saying. He was working with a coach at the beginning of his career. And he was trying to figure out how to get that extra edge when he was on his court, when he was playing his game. And the coach helped him develop an alter ego. And he called it the Mamba mentality. You've all heard of the Mamba mentality. That's what Kobe Bryant is known for. And when he goes on that court, he just gets in warrior mode. He gets in another mode. When he's off the court, it's different.
Right.
It's different. He's got the human side to him, but it's like maybe we can create that for our court. Right? When you're doing your readings, when you're doing your work, whatever that looks like, create this alter ego and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Because your clients need you to show up powerfully. Kobe Bryant's team needed him to show up powerfully. And 5 championships later, he showed up powerfully. And a lot of it is because he was very clear about who he was on the court, off the court, and you're just accepting that.
Yeah. And when you're saying it, it's making me think of, like, sometimes when we meet people, when you meet people in person and you're not in teacher mode and you're in, like, hello, how are you kind of mode, they're like, oh, you're different than what I thought. And, like, maybe I'm a little bit more tame than when I was teaching, or maybe I was a little bit more, I don't know if passive is the word, but a different personality than in teacher mode. And I always say that when I'm in teacher mode, I'm in a different zone, and I have a name for myself too. So I think that's important to actually create those names like you just shared. And then there was someone else, it wasn't Bob Proctor.
Zig Ziglar.
I was just going to say it was Zig Ziglar. So share that story, because I feel like that's powerful. Like, people would see him out and they would think he was a different person.
So Zig would always share this. You've heard of Zig Ziglar, I'm sure, one of the most famous motivational speakers. Actually, I think he was like a pioneer. But he was out and he was getting new glasses. And the guy that was working at the store walked up to him and said, hey, you look like Zig Ziglar, but you can't be him. And he was just very confused because Zig Ziglar was just real calm. He was with his wife. He was out looking for glasses. And then Zig made a point. He's like, people think just because how I am on stage, I'm going to be inside of a glasses store jumping around saying, you got to get there. It's like, no, we're all these different people. And if you learn about speaking of people on stages, you learn about many people that are on stages, you'll learn that a big percentage of them are introverts. Off the stage, they're totally different. And that's okay. They had to learn to be okay with that, because when you're on your stage, whatever that looks like, you're doing your work. You're bringing your power, right? We're not going to do that all day long and try to coach everybody around us. We all know that doesn't work. So we figure out how to show up powerfully when we're on our stage.
Right. And I think that's something to think about, because there is that balance of knowing when you can turn off medium mode, psychic medium healer mode, and actually live your life. And I find myself when you've seen it, like, you live with me, when it's
I've seen everything.
Yeah, he's seen everything. So one of the things that
you have to.
I have. So one of the things
she's still here.
Somehow I am. So one of the things that I feel I can go into is be the person that sits and listens and to anything that's going on with people. What I recognized was I was doing it more, and we just had this conversation before, just yesterday actually. When you're doing it in a way that feels unbalanced, where you're not recharged and you're going to be there for someone and you don't feel that energetic feeling of, okay, I can support everyone. Most likely it's because you're putting in the work with your clients. That's where that energy goes to. I was just listening to Joel Osteen speak. He was getting interviewed on a podcast, and he talked about he believes that everyone has a certain allotted amount of energy. And when our energy is placed in spots that are focused on, the people that are hating on you, the people that are not supporting you, all of that energy is actually taking away from the people that need it, your clients that are paying for this, the people that are listening to the podcast. You're showing up, you're listening for a reason, whether you're here to observe, to see what we're going to say, or really take in the information. So it's like, where are we putting our energy when we're speaking? And when you are in your power with your work and really working with your people, you don't have the same desire to help every single person, because they have to do the work themselves, right?
Yeah, so another way to say that could be, if you're feeling that desire to focus on all the people that are hating on you and you're putting all your energy in there, you're probably not serving your clients
Exactly, and that's what happens. But at the very beginning stages of business, you are focused on that. That's the reality of what happened to us, is we were focused on who's supporting, who's not supporting, why are they not acting as responsive as we want them to, why do they not see that we're working hard behind the scenes. We shouldn't expect that to happen. We should be focused on the clients that we're serving. And that's what makes people more powerful over time, when they are focused on their clients, because they're utilizing their energy in the way that's meant to be used.
That's right.
So that's the most powerful thing that we can do as healers.
Yeah, it's like you said, you're putting your energy into something. Like,
Right.
Think about that. What are you putting your energy into? And also think about what's energizing you and what's draining you about your habits. So is that habit energizing you when you talk about all the people that are hating on you and all that? Or is it draining you? And once you figure this out, you start to eliminate the habits. And I know that the less that we focus on the people that aren't supporting us, the more happier I become. And the more powerful I become in my work. And I think the same goes for everybody.
Yeah, and even the people that you're coaching, the psychic mediums and healers that come to you, they're sharing those same things that are going on. It's literally happening constantly. There's no surprise that it's going to come up. They think that they're the only ones that are experiencing it. That's how we felt too, but you're not. If you're doing anything in your power, if you have a powerful mission, like really a true reason why you're doing the work that you're doing, and you're putting yourself out there, no matter what, you are going to get resistance. And if you don't, then you're not working in the way that you could, because you're only going to get resistance if you're moving outside the box. If everything's perfect, then you know that there's more room for improvement, which there's always room for improvement, right?
Right. And there's another pitfall too, is I don't need support.
That's the biggest one that gets in the way.
And I feel like that's the human side that's coming out of us, because
Right.
the soul side, you need support, right? We all need each other.
Yeah.
We all need that, because our missions are so big. You can't do all of this by yourself. Trust me,
No.
we've tried it. We've seen other people try it. You'll burn out. We all need the support. So we've realized that people like you, people like us, who are like, we'll call us the healers, the helpers, we're so used to giving support, right? I know all of you, most of you listening to this, you're probably one of the leaders of your family. You're the people that your friends and family come up to for support. They ask you questions, they ask for your insights, and you're so used to doing that. I became so used to doing that throughout my life that over these last 10 to 12 years, like, I literally had to relearn how to allow support to happen. And I give her a lot of credit, because she was always calling me out. She's like, why don't you just get help with that? And I could name so many stories on whenever she did that, going back to whenever I was selling my mobile home, like 12 or 13 years ago, before I moved to Tampa, when we first met. Once again, I'm trying to do everything on my own, and then I'm frustrated. I'm talking to Lindsay on the phone, and she's like, why don't you just have one of the real estate people that are connected to the mobile home park sell it? Because I was having trouble selling it, because they were being wrong. They weren't allowing the people that wanted to buy my place to be accepted into the park, because that's what they wanted. But it goes with reaching out for support. As soon as I reached out for support, the mobile home sold within a couple of days.
Yeah, it was days. But the reason that happened was we were so focused on getting this answer because he was moving to Florida. It was in the frustration that actually the gold happened, because he's like, I just wish someone could sell this for me. I'm like,
oh, that's
wait
true.
a
I did
second.
say that.
I'm like, wait a second, stop. Just stop right now. Stop freaking out. You just said it. Why don't you get someone else to do this for you?
I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. It never occurred to me to ask for help.
So, and he had been getting all these people that were a perfect fit, like a lot of people in a short amount of time that wanted to purchase this. And trust me, it wasn't anything fancy, but it was a perfect thing to actually him be able to really move on from this space so he could move to Florida. And it was in asking for support that he didn't have to deal with the back and forth and the phone calls and all of that. So that's just one example of asking and receiving the help, even if, like, in that situation, you didn't care if the person got a percentage. That wasn't it. You were just trying to sell it quickly.
It sold for more money that way.
Yeah, it ended up working out. But think about this as a business owner, as a mediumship, psychic mediumship, healer, coach. If you don't ask for support and you're doing everything, thinking, I'm the healer, I can do this. It's easy for me to do. It's tedious, but I can still do it. You're causing more issues for yourself. So you want to pay a little bit more to get what you need. Like for me, my big thing was over the years, I wanted a VA. I wanted someone to help me with certain things. And I have one. We have one that can support us in our business. And it's a game changer to really stop, take the time and look for that. So that goes with, the balance for mediumship and the human side too. The other thing I'm laughing about, because Tony always writes the copy for our podcast, even though I post it, we post it on my page. But he writes the copy, and I was laughing today before we started because I saw you say...
Oh, I forgot I wrote that part.
Yeah, you said something about, like, you're the medium, you're the healer, but then you're flicking someone off in the car. Well, I don't do that personally, but I do...
I did. I'll admit it.
He does.
Not a lot. No, I didn't. I did the other day.
I
was annoyed because this person wasn't letting us over, and it was like cutting us off.
But I will
I haven't flicked off many people in the last several years. I'm getting better at it.
No, yeah, I don't think there's probably 3 people out of 10 years that we've been together, I think I've seen. But I will hold the horn down. I've done it actually yesterday with someone not using the blinker. So thinking about that side, like that is the human side of me. There is some
customer service.
Boston
Your
and
Bostonian comes out when you're on customer service.
Right,
You're getting better at that though.
If I wait on hold for a long time,
she wants to see the manager.
So that side of me is there, and I'm not going to deny it. I think that the easiest thing to do, which becomes harder later, is if you deny that part of yourself and act like it doesn't exist.
That's it.
And
I'm not angry.
Avoid it. Like completely avoid it and say, no, I don't get angry about customer service. I don't get frustrated on the road. And then you're using so much energy.
I was sending them gratitude.
Trying to protect this perfect image of being the psychic medium and healer that you are, that it actually drains your energy. And I just saw something online. I just told you about this. I don't even know how... I believe it's accurate, but I don't know how they measured it. You know how there's scales of feelings?
Yeah.
Well, the highest form, the highest vibration that you can be at, it's not happy or joyful. It's actually in your authenticity. So you have to be yourself. So that's a higher vibration than just being joyful or peaceful. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Because if we just say who we are and we don't feel like we have to hide that part of ourselves, we're going to be using less energy, and it's more relatable, really, to people that we're working with also.
It is. Nobody can relate to everything's light, everything's just love all the time,
right.
And unicorn. It's like, yeah, we understand, we want to be positive too, but it's like, that shit's draining, and we can see when people are doing it, when we did it over the years. It is so draining trying to act like you're positive when you're not.
No.
It's like, just be what you are, yeah. Intelligence says focus on what's right, because what's wrong is always available, what's right is always available. Focus on gratitude, focus on that most of the time. That's being intelligent. That's not lying.
Right.
Also be authentic.
Exactly. And there's a duality piece that I want to cover, and this is sort of on topic, but I feel like this is important because I think a lot of people think, like as an outsider looking in, they think, oh, they think they're so positive, or they, they're so focused on, it just reminded me of the guy from Wizard of Oz, the Munchkin. But, oh my God, this is live, so we can't edit this part out. But it's a distraction because I'm thinking about what I was just going to say. That's why I'm saying that.
Sorry.
What was I going to say? So, I need to get on track. Where were we going with that?
You said there's duality.
Oh, there's duality. Okay, so there's the positivity, there's the gratitude. But I will say this, like for me personally, going through a really difficult time with loss for me when I was at a very dark place in my life, it caused me to actually be more grateful and more able to see the beauty in the world. So I actually really do focus on the gratitude. Like it's not
Trust
like I'm
me, she
faking
does.
it.
Behind the scenes, this girl is positive most of the time.
Most of the time, but not all the time.
You can't say all the time, but it's because of what you went through.
It's
I've watched it
because
too.
of that, because I wasn't like that before.
We were watching a show last night. It's called I Was Prey. It's pretty vicious.
What is it?
I Was Prey.
Oh,
a show
yes.
last night.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And you could tell all these people that either,
it's true.
I hate to say it out loud, but got their leg bitten off by an alligator or like something crazy like that. They had so much gratitude coming through their eyes. And I was just telling Lindsay,
their life.
And the guy said, he's like, just appreciate every heartbeat. And that's what happens, right? When you go through these painful experiences like Lindsay went through, like a lot of you went through, I've went through some. It starts to make you want to focus on gratitude naturally. Right. It puts you to that place. A great coach can make you, or can help you go to a space inside of yourself that's powerful, but so can a really tragic situation.
Yeah, and it wasn't overnight either. It was a process. Because it wasn't like that. I was probably not a fun person to be around during that time. I imagine the
people too from that show, it wasn't like the next day.
Exactly. So it's really about knowing that there is duality to it. There's pieces of why people are positive and why people are showing gratitude. They're also feeling their feelings because that's just as important. But I will say that sometimes I'll hear people complain. I'm like, okay, they're complaining about that. I would have done that like 15 years ago or however, before 2007. But because of this situation, I know that it could always be worse. And I try to focus in on like, where do I want my frequency to be at and what do I want to focus on? So there's two pieces to that. And that comes into play with experiences that you realize like what is important to me in my life. So that's the balance too of human versus medium. It's like you're going to have these experiences, and when you're giving readings to people, you're going to notice they're in different places in their life too, so you have to be aware of that also. If you're not experiencing life as a human, you're not going to be as great as a medium because you don't have the life experiences. You can do all the readings in the world, right? But if you don't have the life experiences, it's not going to be as powerful because you can't feel into it as much.
Very true. So before we get off here, think about what are your top insights from just hearing us. Whether it might not have anything to do with what we're talking about, but it's like when you all of a sudden you get this clarity in your mind. Write down those top insights, and then more importantly, just as importantly, write down the tiniest action steps you're going to take immediately from those insights. Because you don't want to be a passive learner. You don't want to get stuck in the learning loop to where you're just listening to podcasts, you're reading books, but you're not taking any action. So even if it's a small, tiny action,
right,
what's the tiniest action that you could take to keep the momentum going with this insight that you had?
And take it to the next level and comment underneath, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching this or listening, comment underneath. And last thing that's so important, some upcoming things. We have level 2, Unlock Your Inner Medium. We're going to be going live on Zoom practicing. If you're someone that's like at that intermediate level, you've already taken a level 1 class or like a beginning workshop class, you want to practice on Zoom in a small group, join us. This happens once a year. We offer it once a year. So level 2 is coming up, and then next level 3 is coming up. The other thing that's really important that I want to share is our April retreat is right around the corner too. People are already signing up for that. It's our psychic medium retreat. This is our 7th annual psychic medium retreat. It's magical. It's something that can't be put into words. If you want more information, we're now doing something where we're taking calls and really figuring out if you're the right fit and matching that up.
And this is only if you're serious about joining the
Right.
retreat and you have questions.
Right. Then reach out and we'll set up a call. I've already talked to some people on Zoom, on the phone. And what was the other thing? The prerequisite is you have to be a student of ours in some way. Okay, so a mediumship student. Either you've taken a self-study with Unlock Your Inner Medium, or you've done the live version, or you're in our mediumship membership, mediumship mastery circle. But you have to be a student because I want you to be on the same page of learning. And if you're not a student yet, we'll teach you how to sign up for something that goes with it so that it's all connected.
Right, and it's not only the same page on learning, but we
The
only
energy.
want certain people at this retreat because it's sacred, it's powerful, and when you curate like people that you want there and you visualize it beforehand, you see, I need this type of person there, you have the best results. We don't want just anybody coming to the retreat. Like, you must be somebody who's serious about your mediumship, who's serious about your growth. And
Right.
that's what this retreat will do. It'll benefit people like that.
Right. Okay, guys. Well, we can't wait to see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.